Hello, 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 and welcome back to another edition of Fan Talk, your favorite podcast by your favorite fan. That is me, of course, Kyle Brenchley, K. Brench in the house on a Thursday. Man, you must be saying this guy is all over the place. Last week it was on a Tuesday. In the past, it's been on Wednesdays. He's done Fridays when he first started the podcast. Now we're going Thursday. I think I should just hit every single day of the week at some point. I haven't done a Saturday, haven't done a Sunday. I don't think I've done a Monday. I might have. I can't remember. But this might be the first time I've done a Thursday. No, I've surely done Thursdays before. Regardless, guys, welcome to Fan Talk. This is a podcast by me, Kyle Brenchley. You can find it anywhere you get your podcast. If this is your first time here, welcome, welcome. If you're a returning listener, then God bless you. You've made it this far. We're coming up on almost 3 years, I think. 2.5. I rounded up greatly. I started this podcast, I think September of 2022. So yeah, I guess we just hit 2 years, but I mean, who's counting, right? I mean, I got the Rogue One poster. Still haven't seen Skeleton Crew. Let me know if it's good down below. I will get to it eventually. We got the candle burning, and we got the chestnuts roasting on an open fire. It's going to be great. We are going back to the basics. We're starting off with the Fan Talk Fast Talk. I haven't done that in like 2 months, but here we go. Instead of 3 stories, I just have 2 for you. Number one story that pertains to me, but also to the entire college football landscape. Quarterback John Matier, is that you say it? Matier, John Matier, transfers from Washington State to Oklahoma. He was the number one player in the transfer portal. Matier had 3 seasons at Wazoo. Didn't really play the first 2 seasons, kind of a backup there. Of course, Cam Ward was there. And then last year, he took over the reins and threw for over 3,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. Very, very good player. Also rushed for 50 rushing touchdowns. He will have 2 more years of eligibility. Big time signing for the Sooners, especially since, Jackson Arnold didn't pan out and he transferred. Dylan Gabriel, of course, had moved on to Oregon. And Michael Hawkins Jr., a true freshman, he was going to be the guy. So now they have John Matier, a very good addition to the Oklahoma football organization. Boomer Sooner. Let's talk baseball for just a second. I know some of this is very old news, but it still might be news to you. I don't know how many of you guys actually follow Major League Baseball during the regular season, let alone the offseason. Cody Bellinger to the New York Yankees. Of course, he's played previously with the Chicago Cubs and the Dodgers. Juan Soto to the Mets. Of course, that was record-breaking, the biggest deal in MLB. And then Max Fried to the Yankees as well. So the Yankees are really loading up. They're really trying to fill that hole that Juan Soto left in them. So, I mean, that's the Fan Talk Fast Talk. Usually it's 3 stories, but we're just doing 2 today because we are talking football, both college and NFL. And I'm going to be introducing you guys to an absolute dog. I am, of course, repping the Denver Broncos gear. They are playing tonight on Thursday Night Football, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But let me talk about a player that you have not heard of, but you will never forget after you listen to this podcast episode. The Denver Broncos, of course, playing very well, 9-5 right now, on pace to make the playoffs if things go well for the first time since the 2015 season in 9 seasons. First time they've had a winning record since the 2016 season, and obviously Bo Nix and Sean Payton are huge parts of that. But for now, I want to talk about their defense. Their defense, who's top 5 defense in the league, number 1 in scoring, meaning that teams don't score a lot of points against them. They have this player on the defense. Now, if you don't watch Denver Broncos games, and I know not everyone does, I think I'm unique in the fact that I watch every game, at least the highlights. So I know exactly what's going on with every single team, to a certain degree. Some people might just watch what game's ever on TV, or they might just watch the game of their favorite team. I watch it all. So I don't blame you for not knowing who this player is, but you will know because he is absolutely balling out, and he should be at least in the top 3 in contention, if not the top guy right now for Defensive Player of the Year in the NFL. Push aside TJ Watt, push aside Myles Garrett. Those guys have won it in the past. Both of them are actually not having, that great of years if you look at their statistics. But look at this guy. He has the numbers to show it. But not just that. He is an absolute dog. He went to Oklahoma, of course. He's pretty much my exact same age, 25. He was selected in the 2nd round, 64th overall pick. What a steal in the 2022 draft. coming in at 6'3", 240 pounds. Linebacker for the Denver Broncos, number 15, Nik Bonitto. That's right, we're talking Nik Bonitto. Nik Bonitto absolutely went off in the last 2 games, but he's been going off all season. Let me tell you about some of the stats he has this season. So Nik Bonitto, in 14 games played, 41 total tackles. He has 11 and a half sacks, which last I checked, I'm pretty sure he's either second or third in the NFL in sack totals. So there's that. 2 fumble recoveries, or 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. That 1 fumble recovery, of course, was last week against the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts tried to do a double pass where Anthony Richardson threw it over to A.D. Mitchell, and then Mitchell tried to throw it back to Anthony Richardson. I'd show you the video, but the last time I tried to show a video that wasn't mine, I got tagged for it, which makes sense. But just go look it up. Nik Bonitto, fumble recovery against Colts. He just swoops in there, picks it off. Technically, since it was a backward pass, they called it a fumble recovery. But picks it off and takes it out 50 yards. Totally game changer. Huge play for the Denver Broncos. The week earlier, their matchup earlier against the Cleveland Browns, he had a 71-yard pick 6 on Jameis Winston. So back-to-back games with 50-plus yard defensive touchdowns, or defensive turnovers returned for touchdowns. So he's got that, and he's just absolutely balling out right now. Been a huge part for the Denver Broncos, coming off the edge as an outside linebacker, blitzing the quarterback, getting home, and just really putting pressure on other teams' quarterbacks and really making it difficult for that. I mean, I even read an article today. I don't know if any of you guys are in fantasy football leagues that have defensive players. I did it one time, like 12 years ago. But if you're in fantasy football leagues that have defensive players, add Nik Bonitto, because he puts up points. Very similar to a Von Miller type that just gets home, just gets after it. Everyone respects him. Go look up his highlights. Balled out at Oklahoma. Is balling out here in the NFL. He is absolutely going off. Nik Bonitto. If you guys want to support this channel, I'll link a link to getting his jersey down below. I want the one in orange, size medium, please and thank you. All right. So, while we're on that topic, well, we'll get to the NFL in a second. Let's jump back to college football, because starting tomorrow, bowl games have already started. UNLV, California, that was a fun game last night. But the college football playoff starts tomorrow with a matchup between Notre Dame and Indiana on ABC 6 p.m. And if you haven't watched my last episodes or just have not been paying attention, I'll say it again. 12-team format, all right? It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see, because you would hope all these matchups are good. You would hope all these matchups are entertaining, competitive, and all that jazz. But there might be a few blowouts, just knowing the history of the college football playoff. Even when they had 4 teams, there's been blowouts. We'll kind of see here, excuse me. But yeah, the first game, Indiana, Notre Dame. I think last week I kind of went through and kind of made loose predictions. I didn't make hard set predictions, and I won't do that here. And I asked for your predictions down below. So if you still have those, drop those, because it is Thursday night and the games are tomorrow. But I am real excited to kind of see how this works out. Tomorrow's just going to be a great day of football, because it's got Notre Dame, Indiana. There's 2 NFL games going on. There's some NBA games, some college basketball games, some hockey game. It's like a huge day. Excuse me. I meant to say Saturday, for that huge day is on Saturday. Excuse me. Tomorrow is Friday. See, I'm doing this podcast on a different day, and I just don't even know what day it is at this point anymore. 6 days till Christmas. Holy cow. I hope you have your shopping done. I am just discombobulated at the end of this year. It's been a long year, but it's been an awesome year. So, sidetrack there. Saturday is the day that's going to have the NFL games, the NBA games, the 3 college football playoff games. Tomorrow, Indiana, Notre Dame. I was just getting ahead of myself there, but it should be fun. Personally, I go Indiana, I guess. Whichever team has a better shot at beating Georgia. And I don't have beef with Georgia. It's not like Alabama or, like in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs, or the NBA, the Golden State Warriors. It's not like I have any beef with Georgia, but they've been there the last couple of years. It would be cool to just see something, shake it up a little, So whichever team has a better chance of beating Georgia. Might be Notre Dame. I don't know. Could be Indiana if they, put up a lot of points. Who knows? But should be fun regardless. All right, let's jump to the NFL and make some picks and then get you guys on your way. Of course, Thursday Night Football kicks off in about 4 hours here. So I really need to get these picks out here and get this uploaded to YouTube and Spotify and all that jazz for some credibility. So let's start off here with Thursday Night Football, of course. The Denver Broncos visiting the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers beat the Broncos last time they played in Denver. I think, what was that, week 6 or something? Week 5 or week 6. That was a game where Bo Nix, the offense, got off to a really slow start. Pat Surtain was injured, start cornerback for the Denver Broncos. So Justin Herbert was just absolutely, picking on the backups in the Broncos secondary. And the Broncos did have a late fourth quarter comeback, but eventually did come up short. This game's going back to LA. Broncos, of course, coming off a huge win against the Colts, where they now have a 91% chance to make the playoffs. Pretty much they just need to win one more game and they're in, whether against the Chargers, Bengals, or Chiefs to finish out the season. Chargers are sitting pretty as well, as long as they don't lose the last 3 games. But, the Broncos is probably their hardest game left on the schedule. They still have a game against the Raiders and somebody else I can't quite remember. But it's a pretty favorable schedule. They've already played the Chiefs twice. They'll already play the Broncos after they finish this. They've already played the NFC South. So it'll be interesting to see for sure. This game is in LA, both coming off a short week. The Broncos offense has been a little stagnant. Bo Nix only threw for 130 yards and 3 interceptions against the Indianapolis Colts. Justin Herbert didn't do too well either. He was held under 200 yards against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think he threw 2 interceptions. So neither offense coming off a great performance. The defense for the Denver Broncos really came up big in their last 2 games. The defense for the Chargers has been very good all year. They're tied with the Broncos, actually, for the number 1 scoring defense, which, of course, as I mentioned before, means they allow the least amount of points against their opponents. I believe it's at 17.6 or 17.9 on the year. So they're both tied for the lowest scoring defense. But their defense kind of got torn apart by Baker Mayfield. So, if the Broncos are to win this game, then the offense is going to need to click. This is not going to be a game that they're going to win with only their defense. With the Colts, you get it because Anthony Richardson's kind of hot and cold. With the Browns, it's Jameis Winston, who's very who's talented, but also throws multiple interceptions and now is benched. So you're essentially the defense was able to beat some pretty mid offenses, if I can be completely honest. The Chargers, whole different offense with Justin Herbert, with Jim Harbaugh, with Ladd McConkey. With Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, so Quentin Johnson. So the offense really has to show up. And because of that, I'm a little pessimistic, a little worried. I am going to take the Chargers in this one just because this is a totally different Chargers team. Short week for the Broncos. The offense is still a little shaky. This, of the 3 games left, is probably one that I think will drop. A game against the Bengals is somewhat winnable, and then home against the Chiefs is very winnable. So I'm going to go with the Chargers in that one. Texans and Chiefs. Word just came out that Patrick Mahomes, a serious ankle injury. He'll be fine, and he'll play. So I'm going to take the Chiefs in that one. At a certain point, unless he breaks an arm or a leg or something, he's going to play and he's going to do well and the Chiefs are going to win. So give me the Chiefs in that one. It'd be great if the Texans could win. The Chiefs have already locked up the AFC West. So at this point, it's just if they can get the 1 seed or not. Steelers at Ravens. I like the Ravens in this one. The Steelers had a very tough game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, the Philadelphia Eagles are a great team, but the defense was just absolutely demolished. Russell Wilson didn't play very well. They're dealing with some injuries as well. So I'm going to go with the Ravens in this one. The Ravens are trying to chase down the Steelers for the AFC North title. I think that they actually will end up taking the title and getting the 3 seed. The Steelers drop into the 6th or 5 seed or something. So I'm going to go with the Ravens in that one. And both these games, Chiefs, Texans, Ravens, Steelers, both those games will be on Saturday. So that was the big day I was telling you about that I got mixed up earlier. Anyways, Bengals and Browns. I'm going to go with the Bengals in this one. Bengals only have, I think it's less than 4% chance to make the playoffs. But, every win matters a lot. So I like them against the Browns in this one. Joe Burrow is probably going to throw for 300 plus again. Look for Jamar Chase to have a big game. If he's on your fantasy team, for sure, start him. Duh. Giants and Falcons. I'm going to go with the Falcons in this one. The big news out of Atlanta is that Michael Penix Jr. will be the starting quarterback. Kirk Cousins is benched. Kind of a weird situation that entire time. I talked about this before the season even started. It's like, why draft Michael Penix Jr. if you were going to already sign Kirk Cousins? Kind of a weird decision. Who knows what Kirk Cousins, has he played his last game in Atlanta? Who knows? We'll have to see. That is a very messy contract. Kind of reminds me of the whole Russell Wilson situation. A little different, but still, I think Michael Penix Jr., very favorable matchup. A great game to start against a Giants team that's absolutely terrible. They don't know if it's going to be Drew Lock or Tommy DeVito. Doesn't even matter at that point. You can put me in there as quarterback and have the same chance of winning or losing. So I'm going to go with the Falcons in that one. Lions and Bears. The Lions are so depleted. They have 22 players currently on IR, but that doesn't matter because they're playing against a Bears team who absolutely is just terrible. Ever since that Hail Mary against Washington at the end of the game, they just have not been the same team. Of course, their coach has been fired. Caleb Williams is just not doing well. I'm going to go with the Lions in this one. I think the Bears don't win another game all year. Titans and Colts, of course, as I mentioned earlier, the Colts, very tough loss. If they would have beaten the Broncos, their playoff chances would have soared through the roof. Now they're hanging on the edge kind of with the Bengals, not really looking good. They have to win out and need Denver to pretty much lose, and the Chargers pretty much to lose. I'm going to take the Colts in this one. This is a good game to bounce back against a bad Titans team. Rams and Jets. Hey, the Jets finally won a game. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams hooked up again. They might run it back next year. Who knows? But Jets had something to cheer about. This week, they're hosting a very tough and hot Rams team who's coming in. Matthew Stafford dealing to Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. That is a dangerous duo. Watch out for the Rams going into the postseason. I think they will win the NFC West and potentially even a first-round playoff game. Watch out for them. They're a team that is hot that you do not want to play come January. Eagles and Commanders. I think this has a potential of being a very good game. I think the Commanders have a good, decent shot at actually winning this game. They're at home. They're coming off a dramatic win against New Orleans. Jaden Daniels is a good quarterback. He's up there for Rookie of the Year. You got Scary Terry McLaurin, who's always very good. They're getting Marshawn Lattimore back. Their defense is pretty solid, but the Eagles are really hot right now. Other than the Rams, I'd say the Eagles and the Rams and maybe the Bills are the three hottest teams in the NFL right now. And so the Eagles have played very well. I think they've won 10 in a row, if I'm not mistaken. Nick Sirianni is no longer on the hot seat. His seat is now cooled down, along with the weather there in Philadelphia. I think this is a game Jalen Hurts is able to go off. Him and A.J. Brown are trying to get back on the same page. Still no Dallas Goedert, but Saquon Barkley in the backfield. A.J. Brown is your receiver. Jalen Hurts is your quarterback. And a solid defense. I'm going with the Eagles. Cardinals and Panthers. I like the Cardinals in this one. I did pick the Panthers last week. I really wanted them to win, but they disappointed me. Hopefully they can, Bryce Young can continue to learn, continue to grow, and, hopefully there's hope for the future. But this is a game the Cardinals will win and should win. And, not a great chance to make the playoffs. They kind of need some help. But, you just need to take care of business, control what you can control, and beating a bad Carolina Panthers team. Vikings and Seahawks. Now, this is a very intriguing matchup. If this game was in Minnesota, I would pick the Seahawks. But this game's in Seattle, and Seattle has absolutely been terrible at home this year for some odd reason. They've only lost one game on the road, but they've only won 2 games at home. I think they're 2-5 at home. So kind of a weird stat there. I'm going to go with the Vikings in this one. Sam Darnold's kind of fighting for, trying to prove himself. Another interesting situation because J.J. McCarthy, who they drafted number 3 overall, if he comes back next year, which he will, and the Vikings are probably planning on rolling with him, Sam Darnold's going to look for, big-time money somewhere else. So it's kind of interesting to see what the Vikings do, how far they go, and what ends up happening with Sam Darnold. As for this Sunday, I am picking them to beat the Seahawks in Seattle. Patriots and Bills. Give me the Bills in this one. Drake May has shown some good things, but they need to keep losing so they can draft someone else who's really good to help Drake May. Bills, again, as I mentioned, one of the hottest teams in the NFL. They're really trying to chase down the Chiefs and hope the Chiefs can slip up so the Bills can get a piece of that 1 seed. Now, this is the hardest pick of the week, in my opinion, because you got the 3-11 Jaguars, who are dog water, who are jag water, and the Las Vegas Raiders, who are absolutely abysmal. Desmond Ridder, oh boy. But I mean, they almost came back against the Falcons. So I mean, they a little bit of fight of them, a little bit of fire. It's a good time in Vegas. Who knows? Anything can happen, right? I like the Jaguars in this one just because. I mean, Mac Jones is not great, but he's not Desmond Ritter. He's not. He's not Will Levis. He's like one micro step above them, and so because of that, I think the Jags are going to win this one. The Jags can score points. That's the difference between them and the Raiders. The Raiders just can't score. They just can't do nothing. So I'm going to go with the Jags in this one. This one, I'm going to go with the Dolphins. This might be a pick I regret. This will be my upset pick of the week. I always do one, and because I've always done one, I've kind of fallen off the grid a little bit. I'm ranked like 1,000 now. I used to be in the top 100, but I don't know. I just think the 49ers are so depleted. Their 4 top running backs are out with season-ending injuries. So they called me to suit up for them, but I said I can't because I have a Christmas party that weekend. So, I mean, if you're looking to play running back in the NFL, the 49ers are currently looking for somebody to do that. If you're interested, you can email them at helpweneedarunningbackat49ers.org. But I'm going to take the Dolphins in this one. The Dolphins are another team like the Colts, like the Bengals, who are sitting there on the edge and really don't have that great of a chance. But, I mean, with a win, their chance gets bigger. So I'm going to go with the Dolphins in that one. Sunday Night Football will be Buccaneers and Cowboys. I like the Buccaneers in this one because just like the Seahawks, the Cowboys are absolutely abysmal at home. They absolutely are terrible. And the Buccaneers are playing very well. Baker Mayfield cooking Mike Evans as his sous chef. Give me the Buccaneers in this one and on their way to lock up another NFC South title. Monday Night Football will be Saints and Packers. I'm going to go with the Packers in this one. The Packers are a very good team, playing very good right now. So that is my pick. And that is all I have to say about that. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for another edition of Fan Talk. Again, this is a podcast you can get anywhere you can get your podcast. I upload on YouTube. If you're watching from YouTube, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Any of those would be awesome. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone. Christmas is next Wednesday, so I think my next episode will be probably next Thursday, the day after Christmas. Let's kind of talk about, the games and we'll just kind of go from there. But enjoy your Christmas. Happy holidays. If you don't celebrate Christmas, spend time with family. Remember the spirit of giving, whether you're a Christian or not. The whole reason we celebrate Christmas, the whole reason Christmas is a thing, it's for the birth of Christ. And Christ was all about giving back and serving others. So find some time to serve your neighbors, to serve your family, serve your friends. Think outside of yourself. Truly the season of giving. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. Merry Christmas, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another edition of Fan Talk. We'll catch up next week after Christmas for another edition of Fan Talk. Until then, we'll see you later.